What's up, my dude? Supercross 2 on the switcheroo, bro. So, got the T in the background. Come on now, they can't hang. They can't even come close, I'm just telling you. So, we got the Switch. Finally bought a Switch, like, I don't know, 3 years after this thing came out. So, that's kind of cool. So I wanted to come in here and kind of review this Supercross 2 on the Switch because it's a whole different experience, man, when you play a game like this, obviously mobile like this, that's really meant to be more on like a, you know, a PlayStation 4 or PC or something like that, right? Let's try to get our bike set up going here. Just a little short gear ratio. Just give me a little more pep in my step, you know what I'm saying? All right, let's go to the track here. So, if you guys, it's going to take me a minute to get back used to this here, but if you guys have ever seen any of my reviews, basically on any other milestone game ever before, right? You probably remember me saying something down the lines of like, oh, well, this is like pretty much like a mobile motocross game's physics system and things like that, right? You probably heard me say that before, even with my Supercross 2, you know, PC review that I did. You probably heard me say things like that before. And I couldn't be any more right than that, because that's what this game feels like to me. This feels like the most awesome, perfect, mobile, like AAA mobile dirt bike game that there is out there. Tough blocks are insane, dog. Oh my god. Let me get a little sip of the tea, dog. It's right there. We gotta do it. Oh my god. Yes, sir. In every way. Big Hoss status. Okay, so, and yes, I could have recorded this video where I was actually recording the screen itself, but I wanted to make it a little more, you know, you can actually tell I'm playing this shit on the Switch and mobile, and that's what this review is going to be, is just strictly reviewing the mobile version of this game with the standard Joy-Con controllers, because really, like, that's what separates playing Supercross 2 on a Switch from anything else. You know, if you're just going to plug this game up to a TV with the Switch and play it with like a pro controller, then why not just play the game on a PS4? Why not just, you know, play the game on a PC at that point? It doesn't really make any sense, right? So that's really what separates this game on the Switch, is playing it portable like this. And personally, I think playing it portable with the default Joy-Cons, it kind of gives the game a whole different you know, a whole different type of skill gap to it, right? And that's kind of what I was saying all those reviews before is, let me see if I can hold this a little better here where you're not getting such a glare on the screen. That's kind of the thing about it is, you know, it's like the skill gap of this game and the movement of this game seems to perfectly fit the like having Joy-Con controllers. You understand what I'm saying? It seems to perfectly fit that. Let me turn Ghost off here. Okay, at least this game has Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Alright. Okay. So, but yeah, it just, to me, it seems like the controls of this game, this is kind of tough. It's kind of tough playing this and trying to keep this held back far enough here. Trying to keep it in frame of the camera that I'm recording on. This is definitely tricky here, boys. Okay, camera's sitting a little higher than ideal. That's a triple. We'll get it here in a second. Let me just take out that dude off the side of the track. Okay. Alright. Like, I normally play a Switch kind of a little more, like, angled down like this. And obviously, you could see how good that would look on camera, so I'm kind of having to kind of change the way I'm playing the game here a little bit. But yeah, so the point being though is, like, as soon as I got into this game on the mobile version of the Switch, it was like, okay, this is next level for a mobile motocross game, right? It really is. I mean, it's awesome for that. It feels like it just fits that kind of a niche, you know? It kind of fits that, where you guys know with the Joy-Con controllers, you know, this is not going to be anywhere near the kind of movement, you know, and the kind of precise movement and stuff that you're going to have with a normal, like, Xbox 360 controller or PlayStation 4 controller. And in a way, that makes this shit better, because it's almost like it creates even more of a skill gap with playing it with the standard Joy-Cons on the Switch, right? Because you can't be as precise with the turning. I know that may sound stupid as shit, but you gotta follow me here for a second, okay? Not only does it have like the little bit harder to, you know, steer controls, so it makes the game itself a little more skill gapped in that sense, but also your triggers on the Switch are not really triggers. You know, they're more like just standard buttons. So, in a way, it's like this game gets double the skill gap than it normally would have, you know, playing it with like a normal, you know, Xbox controller or something like that. Whenever you're playing this with the standard Joy-Con controllers of the Switch, which is probably what 99.99% of people are going to be playing this on anyways. When you're playing this game in portable mode, right? You're probably going to be using the standard Joy-Cons with it. So it does create another sort of... Sorry, guys, I'm crashing like crazy. I need to get where I can get this shit in frame and just be able to just play it without having to look at the camera. I'm kind of like looking at the camera instead of the gameplay here. I apologize for that. We'll try to focus a little bit. But, yeah, that included with the, you know, little bit lower frame rate that you're going to have, obviously, on the Switch, because it's not, I mean, that's pretty well known that the Switch is not going to be able to run the kind of frame rates that you're going to have on PlayStation and stuff like that. I feel like everybody pretty much knows that. But, in a way, all of those little quirky things about playing this game on mobile, I feel like just adds to the experience, because these milestone games in general are so... you know, so much more like simplistic and basic with the controls and the, you know, the overall skill gap and everything like that, especially when you compare it to games like Reflex and stuff like that. They're already kind of so simplistic as it is anyways that it's kind of like, I feel like whenever you have these quirky mobile, you know, not as good, joysticks and not as good triggers, and you're playing at a lower frame rate and everything like that, it kind of you know, granted, it is kind of creating a false sense of extra skill gap, but still yet, either way you want to, you know, slice it, it still does create a pretty cool next level of skill gap that you're not going to experience with Supercross 2 if you play this game on a PlayStation 4 on a TV, 60 FPS with normal controllers, or, you know, if you play this game on PC, 144 FPS with, you know, whatever kind of controller you want to use, right? Like, it kind of gives it a whole nother level of a feeling, and this is what I think really, Supercross 2 really fits that niche of, like, more than a standard mobile, you know, motocross game that you would find on the Apple Store, you know, on the App Store, right, or something like that. Like, it's definitely more of a game than that. So it feels like this next level, super amazing mobile motocross game, right? It kind of feels like that whenever you're playing it on the portable mode of the Switch, right? So even getting on your brakes is a little bit tricky. Obviously, these rhythms I'm having a little bit of struggle with this. Whereas, like, on a console, or even playing the Switch on a TV with a normal controller, you're just going to glide right through this shit like it's nothing, right? There's no sort of real having to learn it or anything like that. You're just going to glide through all this shit first, second on the track. So, yes, it is kind of silly the way I'm saying that, but you got to understand what I'm saying. Like, you know, it kind of creates this more than usual skill gap, even though it is kind of just a control skill gap, like, you know, the difference of how your controller input skill gap kind of thing here. Even though it is kind of like that, still yet, it's more skill gap than you typically know of in most of these milestone motocross games or supercross games when you play the Switch in portable mode with the standard Joy-Cons. That's what this review is all about here, right? But yeah, this game comes with pretty much everything that the standard, you know, PlayStation version or PC version of this game would come with. It doesn't feel like it's like a like a knocked back version of it or anything like that. And these kind of graphics on a Switch in particular, like, yeah, it doesn't look quite as good as it would on a PS4 or PC for that matter, but it still looks really good for a mobile, you know, a mobile motocross game. I feel like that's kind of the whole thing with this whole thing. You got to compare it in a way of, you know, you're playing this shit mobile. Like, you can take this with you on the go. You can play this shit anywhere. Let me slide out a couple more times, boys. Let me try to get a little more comfortable here. This is tricky the way I'm recording this right here. Sorry if you guys see some glare on the screen and shit like that, but I'm doing the best I can here, boys. But, you know, I feel like every aspect of this game just gets boosted. Like, every possible rating of this game just goes up exponentially when you consider it in a mobile, portable, you know, fashion. I feel like it makes every aspect of this game better, which is a really bizarre thing, because you guys know how I dog on some of these milestone games. Obviously, with Supercross 3, we got a lot more of that skill gap vibe, and even on a, you know, on PC, on a normal screen with a normal controller, you got a lot more of that skill gap, you know, inertia to the bike, feeling, rhythm, skill gap, leaning, all that kind of stuff. You got a lot more of that with Supercross 3, right? But here with Supercross 2, my elbows are getting destroyed. Okay, let's see. Maybe one day I'll have a better, you know, way to do this, but as of right now, this is a little tough titties for the Spency boy. So, yeah, basically, though, like, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, yes, they have improved on a lot of things with Supercross 3 specifically, but what I'm trying to get at in this video is, like, I was genuinely impressed with Supercross 2 on the Switch portable mode, you know, specifically. I was genuinely impressed with it. So let's try to go to another track here. But you can see menu options just like you would find in Supercross 2 normally. You know, it doesn't have any kind of like cutback menu options or anything stupid like that. So that's really cool. You know, that's a cool aspect of it, that it still keeps all of your standard original, you know, features and options and game modes and time attack and, you know, free ride track and bikes and official riders. You know, it still has that full AAA dirt bike game experience, but in your hands. So it's, you know, that's kind of seems to exponentially make everything better. I don't know what the hell this thing's doing. Hold on just a second. Okay, here we go. So as you can see here in the menu screen, you got multiplayer, customize, you got the track editor, right? Full-blown track editor in the mobile version of Supercross 2 on the Switch. That's pretty badass, man. To have a track editor in a AAA, you know, motocross game like this in the palm of your hands, that's a lot. That's pretty next level, man. It really is. So let's go to single player. Let's go rip around the compound a little bit. I seem to be crashing quite a bit on the standard Supercross track, but like, if you're used to playing this game on a console or PC or whatever, hey, you can see me in the glare. What's up? Let's see if I can get a little, sup, my dudes. Okay. But yeah, so if you're used to playing this game like on a normal console or PC or whatever, it's going to feel like a whole nother kind of game on the mobile version of this game. Of course, you know, even when you're playing this game in mobile, you can play it with a pro controller, and if you go down that road, it's kind of gets to that point where it's like, what the hell are you doing? You know, it's like, if you're, that's kind of the way I look at it. If you're going to play this game, oh, that'd be cool if I actually started the race. That would definitely be ideal here, Spency boy. That's kind of the deal with it, is like, you know, if you're going to play this game with a normal controller or on a TV, just play it on a PlayStation or play it on a PC at that point, right? If you're wanting that kind of an experience. But if you're wanting more of this, you know, Game Boy, Nintendo 3DS, but a fucking insane level, you know, Supercross game, insane level AAA motocross game in your hands, this is how you're going to get that kind of an experience. You know, this is how you're going to get that full mobile, but still a AAA dirt bike game experience, which is a really cool sort of thing that I don't feel like we've ever really had before. That's kind of my thing with it. I just don't feel like we've ever had this exact combination before where you have like such a, you know, such a graphical, oh my jump daddy. Can we land it? Yes. Okay. Good God, man. Even this compound right here. What the hell are they doing with that MXGP? Oh my God. Holy crap. What are they doing with that free ride track on MXGP 2020? That shit ain't even got close to the kind of jump sizes as what this did all the way back in Supercross 2 right here. Oh my God. Spency Boy will find a way to crash. But like, this shit looks awesome. For a mobile dirt bike game, this shit looks legit. And the gameplay feels awesome when you consider it in a mobile kind of platform. You know what I mean? Like, yes, this game is definitely, you know, more subpar when you start talking about comparing it to games like Reflex and all this other stuff on a console or PC. You know, yeah, there's not quite the inertia of the bike or the movement or the physics or the, you know, stuff like that. The gameplay can get kind of stale and repetitive and a little bit boring and stuff on a you know, a full-blown console or PC. But when you consider this game in mobile, I feel like it just takes it to a whole nother level. Something about it just seems to, for me personally, it was just like experiencing this game completely. How many times can we crash in this video? You could probably play a drinking game, how many times I crash in this video. But I'm telling you, dog, it's tricky when you're looking at a camera trying to keep this shit in frame while you're playing this game. It is some trickery. But, okay, either way, yeah, that's what I was saying. I feel like every aspect of this game just seems to be better on mobile. Like, every part of this game just seems to be exponentially better on mobile than it seems like it is on a standard console. So yeah, it's definitely just something I wanted to come in here and kind of make a little silly video on. Just kind of give my opinions on it. It's still the full, oh my God, I almost lived off of that. You know, it's still the full experience of Supercross 2. Obviously, we now have Supercross 3 and all that kind of stuff, but still, this is another level. This is something I've never really experienced before, being able to have a AAA level dirt bike game in the palm of my hands. It's a whole different experience for sure. And I feel like when you consider this game on the Switch in portable mode with the standard Joy-Cons and how much skill gap that has and the look of it and compared to some other games in mobile and stuff like that, like, it's next level. It's top notch when you consider this game in the mobile version of the game, right? Let's try to go to another Supercross track here right quick, ski. Yes sir, yes sir. But I'm just saying, you know, I wanted to come here and make a video on this because it's a whole different kind of a game when you play this game on mobile. Yeah, it's not super frame rate. Yeah, it's kind of weird playing with the Joy-Cons if you're used to playing it on a normal, you know, console and stuff like that. T-break. Oh my God, there we go. Big T-dog, big T-sipper. Big T-dripper, brother. Okay. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Time attack. But you know, you got all your customization options. You got, you know, you can go in there and make your own rider. It's got all that kind of stuff. The track editor, the whole, everything that you would get in Supercross 2. And for a mobile game, this shit is awesome. Like, you know, whenever I go in there and I normally review these Supercross games, you know, I'm not reviewing it in a mobile type sense, right? I'm reviewing it in the sense of, let's try to get this shit on a different track, and I'm one, yeah, brother. You know, I'm reviewing this game in the sense of, like, comparing it to other console motocross games like Reflex and Alive and the content of Reflex and Unleashed and Untamed and the way those games were and the jump sizes and the skill gap and the fun factor of all those other games, you know. That's what I compare whenever I review, and you have to compare to those games because that's how you do a review on something. You got to compare to everything else around it in that particular market, right? But with this, when you compare this to like other mobile, app store dirt bike games, this shit's awesome, bro. This shit's like one of the best, if not the best, could be the best possible dirt bike game that you can play on mobile, right? Like as far as AAA dirt bike game, this very well could be, some of the best experiences, gameplay experiences you can have when it comes to that, bro. But you can see like all the tracks that you'd get with the standard, Supercross 2. There's just something about it, like when you're playing this shit on mobile, everything just feels better to me with this game. Like you can't be quite as easy on the throttle, so it makes it a little more tricky in the corners with the Joy-Cons, right? You can't be as precise with the joysticks on the actual controller. It's the thumbsticks. Let me get my... we're going back to the 80s here, boys. Let's use a joystick real quick. With the thumbsticks, right, of the Joy-Cons, you can't be quite as precise with your leaning, so it kind of gives you a little bit more skill gap in that sense. Just everything about this game seems to fit this kind of gameplay better, in my opinion. Like the mobile motocross game feeling, it seems to fit that better. Like when you go back to these Supercross 1, Supercross 2, MXGP 3, some of those kind of games like that, let's just jump over the first part of the main triple there. It just seems like every aspect of it, like the way the skill gap of these games are, and the movement and the physics and how easy they are. Like Supercross 1, you can never pop off on any jump ever for any reason. It's impossible. And even with Supercross 2 here, like this is still a very, very easy game on a console with a normal controller. Like you're going to be hitting every rhythm, every jump, first lap on it. This shit's pretty easy. It's an easy game. There's not a lot of inertia to the bike. You don't have to huck the bike to do a 3-in out of the rhythm. You don't have to try to really lean to not crash in the whoops or anything. But the thing is, though, with it being that kind of like a lower skill gap, easier kind of a caters to everybody type thing, caters to your grandma playing the game or a 2-year-old playing the game. But that makes it to where when you're playing this game on mobile with the Joy-Cons, it makes it more like that normal skill gap level when you're playing it like that, right? So that's what makes it really cool. Kind of gives it that next level of skill gap that you're not going to have with these games when you play these games normally on a console. So that's one of the biggest things I've noticed about it, that made it kind of a cool experience for me personally, is just that being able to kind of experience a older Supercross game with more skill gap than it had originally, with being in the mobile, with the Joy-Cons and the lower frame rate and all that kind of stuff. It makes it a lot more tricky, and it fits the game better playing it like this. So this is kind of something I've always said about these Milestone games, man. At least the first few that they've made, like Supercross 1, Supercross 2, some of those games like that, the pretty much no inertia, very